before we start, I want to thank you, the audience, joining us this morning, and of course, the festival organization, for all the hospitality and everything that you have been doing for us. So personally, thank you so much.
And thank you for the fantastic film that really speaks to the heart of what I think Other Israel is about, on many levels. And I started off before by saying that this film makes me hopeful, and there's my hope in the innocence that could be there for children, though I feel that this film ends somewhat sadly, and I think we see the loss of innocence there. Maybe let's start with that. Tell us a little bit about where these girls are today, how they've reacted to the film, how they interact with one another.
Actually, for the premiere in Israel, for the OIFF festival, we've of course invited both families, but only Samar and her family arrived because Lino's family insisted on not meeting. Unfortunately, we were supposed to go down south to a screening in nearby near Tel Aviv, it's the road, but this summer was really tough, so we didn't make it. So Nitzan and myself, we traveled over there and we met the family, but they didn't see the movie like with an audience, and we're looking forward to when they do it. But they insist on not meeting with each other. I mean, the mother and the grandmother, unfortunately. Samar is in a different high school now. She was in the 8th grade and 7th grade. Now she's in the 9th grade. It was 3 years ago when we started. And the movie has really enlightened her, made her stronger. She's traveling with me around the country. We're screening the movies for different audience in different places, Haifa, Tel Aviv. Up north, we've been in several schools because we intend to screen it. Actually, the film was accepted by the Ministry of Education, so we're taking it for schools, and we're excited with the questions of the children to Samar. She's amazing. She's touching everybody that is meeting her. And Lenore, she's still young and she's protected by a family, but we intend to make like a follow-up after she's 18. I think she'll have different choices when she's independent.
Let me push on this for a moment and ask, Lenore's family has seen the film? Because one could say that Lenore's family, actually Lenore I think comes out quite wonderful in the film, but the family comes out a little less than wonderful.
Yeah, of course they've seen the film, and we had to get the permission. So we went down there, and I met with the cameraman, and we were very nervous how they would react, how they perceive it. But surprisingly enough, they really liked it. They were approved for everything we put in the film, and they gave us their full consent. They believe in it. They believe in what they say.
I guess so. They stand behind it. Let me ask you both, where did this project start for you? How did you get involved with this project? How did you first hear about this program going on between the different schools?
So actually, I started my private investigation regarding a private initiative to take the internet to the periphery parts of Israel. And I have been following, it's called the Password, to the furthest places in Israel which don't have internet with education. And I was watching the amazing enlightenment of teachers and school principals and even children that when they got into the cloud, they felt that they are no more peripheral, that they are just some, like like central cities in Israel. And it was amazing to see teachers that suddenly got power, and with the internet, each of them got inspired and strengthened them. And I wanted to make a movie about that, and then I went to Barak Ayman, which is the producer, and he brought...
Co-director.
Yeah, director. And he brought Nitzan, which followed my research, and we were looking for locations and special people to focus on. And what you saw is a result of amazing, sensitive work of Nitzan to focus on these two special places, and Nitzan will tell you why she chose it.
So I went to a few schools of this project, and first of all, these two schools really welcomed me, the principals of these two schools, and immediately let me feel at home and opened their schools for me. And I got the sense that there is going to be a big drama because they're so different and in mentality, and I was looking for the drama, for the conflict. So this is how...
You're a filmmaker after all.
Yeah.
And when did you know that you wanted to focus on these two girls? Were you filming everybody in the class? How did these two girls emerge?
I've been following them for half a year, the specific class, and quite from the beginning, these two sparked out of the group, and the camera was really drawn to them, and I immediately saw that they're going to be the stars of the film.
And let me go back another step on this program. So this program runs. Is it always between secular and religious? How are the different schools matched up?
Program now is all around Israel, 200 schools. And when we just started to film, it was like 70. And I mean, it's educational and it's like Facebook, but also very educational. And what I personally take from this project is to get the children to learn to know different cultures. I mean, it could be even in Jews. I mean, we are religious and less religious. North versus south, to learn city kids versus village and kibbutz kids. I mean, this movie took to the extremities, but like boys and girls, and Sfardis and Ashkenazis, and we have Bedouins and Druze and Cherkess. The pluralism can go everywhere. So my project is to make more and more meetings among different places, kids. And it's not just Israel and Arab conflict. It's just to learn to know each other from different places, because we're such a small country and so many colors. And just as Linor said, I've never spoken to a Muslim girl. This cannot be. So we need to learn all the colors and to see that we are all people.
Before I open it up to questions from the audience, just one last question. I was talking about hope before. When you see that despite all of your good efforts with an amazing program, it's really also the parents have an influence outside. Do you leave this situation with hope? Do you see at 18, when these girls turn 18, are you more hopeful?
I am, I think, because I think even one encounter between two girls leaves something inside, even if Linor is now a little bit brainwashed and has to go with her family's agenda. I think that little by little it does a small change in the heart and in her mind, and she will carry it with her, I think.
You saw it, it was like magic. I mean, the girls sat one opposite the other, without words, and all the fear of Linor which she was really, really scared. It was going like this. And all the girls talking and fun and their mutual habits. I mean, as I always say, a 12 years old girl is a 12 years old girl, no matter where. There was love in the air, like first love. And this is the hope, because when they meet each other, they see that it's between us, between both our eyes. So this is really my hope.
Thank you. Let me open it up to some questions from the audience.
I enjoyed the film, and I have two questions. One question is, based upon your experience in making films, are these children typical, that they shared, it appeared that they shared a lot from the heart and were acting very natural, or are these unusual, and most often you don't find people that are such good natural actresses even without formal training? Second question is, you mentioned that your goal is to do a lot of different cultures in Israel. One topic you didn't mention, but I wanted to ask, this is something of interest. Do they have in the schools in Israel between the secular and Haredi? Because I understand, unlike the United States, there's some divide between the secular and Haredi in Israel. And not even a Muslim girl, but even, let's say, a secular Jewish girl and Haredi Jewish girl, would there be an opportunity to film something of that sort in that sense? So those are my two questions. Thank you.
I'll go for the first one. And thank you. I think brain broke, sorry. Okay. So I think it's natural. I mean, they're not special in that sense that they reacted somewhat natural to the camera, and I think part of it is because we spent, I spent a year in the school just coming with a small camera myself, without the crew at the beginning. They got to know me. And then with a very minimal crew, me, cameraman and sound person, and which really are, very professional documentaries. They do it many years, so they know how to blend in the surrounding and give the characters a very natural feeling.
They were so excited about the meeting, so they didn't care about the cameras anymore, because Nitzan was like part of the class. Regarding your second question, the project has just arrived to the Haredi schools. Actually, I heard about it yesterday after a very important meeting with the Educational Minister, Shai Piron. I'm not going into the classes with the camera. So I'm not going to document it with the camera at the first stages. I'm not sure that the family will approve, because every frame with a child frame needs assigning. So it's more important for them to meet than for us to document it. So we will leave the cameras out, and I will be the witness for these meetings. Actually, I'm not coming from movie making. I'm a scientist in my background. So it's my small research. I guess the next documentary will be when Linor and Samar. My documentary will be when Linor and Samar are 18.
I will make one small correction. I think there is a huge divide between the ultra-Orthodox community, Jewish community, and the secular Jewish community, even here in America, which probably needs a similar program for bridging.
I'm sorry. I was going to ask for clarification. As a filmmaker, you are first trying to put your subjects at ease.
Yeah.
Enough to capture normal, natural dialogue. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. So there's no technical script, or are adults given any kind of a
The only thing as a director is creating the situation sometimes. I mean, sometimes it's just joining the situation, like in the classroom, where I know I planned with the teacher the topic, what she's going to talk about, stuff like that. Planning ahead there is, and creating the situation, but never do I put words in the mouth of protagonists.
it's important to say that the two girls were sitting opposite each other, like they chose it. It wasn't meant to be. And what happened there, it's amazing because Samar felt so confident after her very short silence acquaintance. I have chills in my body every time I see this scene. And it's the first time she was telling about her father ever in this scene. And I remember Nitzan was telling me as she came back from the shooting, you cannot believe what happened today. It's really, really exciting, and this is the hope.
I thought the most moving scene in the film, for me, by far, was when Lenore's mother is explaining how we're all children of God. Excuse me. And at the end, Lenore is telling her friend that they don't have the same soul as we do. They just have a sparkling soul, we have full soul. And I'm wondering, what's the disconnect there? I mean, on the one hand, her mother is speaking God's word. And yet at the same time, the child comes away with this very precious kind of, well, what's the disconnect there?
I think, as you can see, the mother is, if I'm getting to details in the family relationship, the mother is somewhat also being a little kid to the grandmother. You know, she's very, a little bit afraid when it comes. I mean, the grandmother is the one who's setting the rules in the family. So it always saddens me as well to see. I mean, I remember this day, this day of shooting day when the three of the one scene before the end when Lenore is like the turning point of Lenore. I was quite shocked. I mean, it all happened in front of the camera, and I wasn't ready for it. And you just see in front of your eyes what brainwashing does. And I was very, very sad to see it. But I chose to put it in the film because for me, this is one of the message of this film is to see how innocent and open are the hearts and minds of children before we. How you say, we ruin them in a sense, and what a big impact family adults have about children, education agents have about children. So my hope is that to see the great influence and impact education has, no matter where it comes from, family or school, teachers, principals. So the work should be done there. I mean, that's the work. I just want to do something. I just want to explain one last thing about Lenore's family. I'm sorry I couldn't get deeper in this film into it, but her grandmother and her mother, which were in very good relationships, are very warm, welcoming, and close to me. They have their own story. I mean, they went through really hardships in the settlements, so all their prejudice, opinions come from somewhere. So I think I couldn't get all the complexity in one small film, but I just want to say that the thing I learned on myself on this process the most was to have the ability to hold this contradiction within yourself. I mean, to accept someone that has such different opinions from you, opinions that you perceive to be prejudice, and you still connect to him, you love him, you feel close to him, you want to be in touch with him. So I think it's very important for us to be connected to both, to people who still don't share same opinions.
One more thing, I'm a second generation for the Holocaust. I was brought up not to go to Germany or to Poland. As I grew, I looked at things different, and as a mother, I went with my son to Poland and visited the Holocaust. And the take-home message from this, for me, as a mother, is to open mind to different, to understand the history, but to adjust my feelings and my kids to different reality. And that's the purpose for me traveling everywhere, to see the movie and to discuss it with children and grown-ups, mothers and fathers, education people, and all over. And thank you for watching it with us today. Thank you.
Thank you so much for bringing this important film. And thank you all for staying with us, and we hope you'll pass this message on and teach your children well. More importantly, tell them about the screenings, other screenings of this film. Tell all your friends. Bring children. I think it's also good for children to, at the right age, to learn from this. And of course, all the other wonderful events that are going on this weekend and throughout the week. We appreciate your feedback, so you can pick up a form right outside. And we look forward to seeing you soon. Thank you very much.
Thank you.